This Reddit user thinks that Mr. Cruel might have been their father.
About a year ago, an anonymous Reddit user named Corrupted posted in the Unsolved Murders subreddit with the title, "Scared and Confused, was I raised by Mr. Cruel?" I highly recommend finding the original thread yourself, as there are so many details that I had to leave out of this video, but let's go over the main ones. Warning, as this story mentions abuse. The user states that they lived in an extremely abusive household growing up with their mother, stepfather, and stepbrother. Their mother completely ignored all of the abuse that was taking place. The family was from Tasmania, but in October 1987, they moved to Melbourne. After moving to Melbourne, the cases of Mr. Cruel began being broadcast on news stations. The user states that their stepfather had a strange, intense interest about the news surrounding these cases. She also stated that he liked reading books about serial killers. The user also states that all of the victims of Mr. Cruel had brown or darkish brown hair and were about the same build as the user herself, who at the time was an 11-year-old girl. While Mr. Cruel was active, the family lived in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, which is where the body of Carmen Chan, one of Mr. Cruel's victims, was found. The Reddit user stated that their family lived just a couple of blocks away from where Carmen Chan's body was found. Those who were abducted by Mr. Cruel say that they could hear the sound of airplanes flying over. And the Reddit user states that they actually lived near an international airport and were directly underneath the flight path of many planes. Now, the user isn't actually sure if their stepfather or stepbrother is the one that most fits Mr. Cruel's description. The physical descriptions of Mr. Cruel seem to match their stepbrother more, but the mannerisms and expressions used by Mr. Cruel match those of their stepfather. For example, Mr. Cruel is known to have called some of his victims Missy or a worrywart, as in don't be such a worrywart, and OP of the Reddit thread says that their stepfather used these terms as well. Mr. Cruel is described as having kind of a peach-colored bedroom, based on what the victims have stated. And the Reddit user says that their stepfather had many of these things, a very peach-colored bedroom. But they also state that the rooms that were described by the victims matched the room of their stepbrother. And here are just a few more of the strange coincidences. The time frames that Mr. Cruel was committing his crimes matched the times that both OP's stepfather and stepbrother were in Victoria, Australia. The facial hair sample that was at the crime scene matched a description of the stepbrother/stepfather, but hair color is pretty common, so this is probably just a coincidence. Authorities thought that Mr. Cruel might be from New Zealand or Tasmania, and the Reddit user's family is from Tasmania. And though the stepfather was obsessed with true crime, he was particularly interested in the Mr. Cruel case. Do you think this is a coincidence, or could Mr. Cruel be their father?